The magic you're looking for is all in the work that you're avoiding. You don't have a great body because your is not working out. You don't have a great mindset. It's because you're not reading, you're not attending things that are going to help you. 55% of sales is body language. 37% is tonality. And then the rest of the words we use.
Our best salespeople here, they ask good questions that lead somebody closer to making a decision.
If I was going to tell you, the best secret I learned is...
Welcome back to the Wealthy Business Podcast. I'm your host, Javi Chavez, COO of 5, 7 to 8 figure businesses with Ryan Pineda. Today, I have somebody who's a killer entrepreneur, who's coached entrepreneurs on how to grow, someone who sold their business for $500 million. Tommy Mello, how you doing, man?
I'm awesome, man. It's a pleasure to be here. Really looking forward to this.
Yeah, me as well. So, you know, a lot of the entrepreneurs that we have on this show, they're really looking to grow and scale and obviously hope to get an exit. How do you build a business that is able to sell for what you sold it for?
Well, there's a few things I learned about 7 years ago, and it could be complicated, so I'm going to explain it in the easiest way possible. If you buy something on Craigslist and then you sell it in the Arizona Republic and you make money, that's called arbitrage. You bought it and you sold it and you got a different multiple. So you paid $1, you sold it for $2. The $1 is called arbitrage. In the home service industry and many other home service industries, this is I thought this was if Pablo Escobar knew what this shit was, he'd be like, I would have never been a Coke dealer. You could literally buy something for 3 or 4x and sell it for 10 because of the systems, the processes, the org chart. It's called arbitrage. Mm-hmm. And typically, a lot of PE companies, they want to buy companies and just stick them together and get a higher multiple. But what I do is I fix companies. I find great companies and just some dials that I could turn. So their booking rate, I could fix it. They're not open nights or weekends. I am. They're not open holidays. I am. They don't know service to sales. When you go out and they fix a garage door, do they offer a new one because it's an old piece of crap? They don't understand conversion rate. There's really only 4 KPIs that matter. Booking rate, including form fills, conversion rate, average ticket, and cost per acquisition. I could fix any company. And just being able to recruit all-stars, building a business, once you reach a certain size, I could leave for a month and we wouldn't skip a beat. So people will pay more for a business that runs without. I mean, we go on this trip to Mexico next month. All my whole leadership team and all my top dogs, there's 70 of us going. The company will still set records when we're all gone. And that's what people pay for, a business that runs without the managers and leaders there all the time. So it's pretty cool because home service was deemed essential with COVID. Now, COVID was a bad thing, but home service companies, we didn't shut down. Movie theaters shut down, hotels shut down, real estate kind of slowed down, doctor's office stopped. We didn't miss a beat. We grew dramatically. And I think people are starting to take the blue collar industries a lot more seriously.
Absolutely. And, you mentioned a few things there. The one recurring thing that I always see with all these businesses that, are actually scaling well is people. So how do you identify A players in your organizations?
So there's a lot of things that happen, right? I'm headed to Houston tonight. We've got 300 people RSVP'd for the hiring event. We're hiring 15 in Houston. We've got everything turned off marketing because we're so slammed. And that was an acquisition a year ago. I look for guys that want to win. I mean, typically it's a male technician. So I say, guys, I'd love to get more female technicians. Just they haven't ran across a ton. We've had about 10 that didn't work out. Yeah. So yeah, I love women. If they want to work for us and be our coworkers, we'd love that. But we do personality profiling. We want people that have a big dream. There's certain people that are all I need to make is $20 an hour. And I'm like, I need you to make $500,000 a year. I want you to have 10 houses. Yep. I want you to buy 3 Lamborghinis. First of all, you better want more than anybody ever told you could have. I want people that want to win. They're used to competing. Right? So D1 athletes, they know they did 2-a-days for 5 days a week to play one game. Well, they got to be passionate. They got to be excited. They got to want more. They got to be sitting in the front row saying, teach me more. And those type of people, they'll make several hundreds of thousands of dollars. They'll get insurance. More importantly, they'll be at a place that pushes them to be the best. Better fathers, better mothers. They're going to learn to be better to one another. They're going to look at themselves in the mirror and say, I could be better. They're going to work out harder. They're going to learn to communicate better. They're going to look you in the eyes when they talk. When I see somebody that's just, they tell a great story, they're smiling, and you can just see that they're not quite content where they're at. They want a career. They want to be pushed. They should work with me. And I'm just, listen, I call them my coworkers. I'm not above anybody. I show up every day. I'm a hustler. I grind, and I try to be the best leader. I try to lead by example. And success leaves clues, man. I mean, I go out and I recruit people. If I'm at Cheesecake Factory, P.F. Chang's, if the Amazon guy walks up, I'm talking to him. My life is always be recruiting. People say always be closing. Always be recruiting. The people are what take you to the next level. And so many people, they just have B players they hate A players, and A players hate B players. And if you're going to have a culture that you accept poor attitudes and no drive, no commitment, no excellence, no consistency, no determination, like you're allowing this as a leader, you're doing everybody a disservice. Everybody great in your company is literally going, when is the owner going to do something about this? And the worst employee in the world is a B player. C players get fired.
Absolutely.
A players take it straight to the top. And B players just kind of get by. They do what they're told. They show up on time, but they don't really excel you. So I say the worst employees are the B players, and it's your job to get them up or get them out.
100%. And one thing that we always tell with our entrepreneurs is like, dude, like people just like either rise or fall to the level of your standard. So you need to set the standard for your employees. And so how do you hold people accountable and move those people, those either motivate those A players or get like move those B players to A players? Is there like a key or a secret to your success in doing that?
There is a secret. So when somebody starts for me, I'm going to ask them what their dreams are. And I'm going to peel back that onion in 5 layers. I'm going to say, what are your dreams, man? Where do you want to travel? What is your house going to look like? What do you want to do with dad? Where do you want to take your grandma? Where do you want to go to Disney World first class, cut all the lines? What is the dream? And then we're going to get really, really specific and write down exactly what the house looks like, how many square feet it is, what neighborhood it is. Then we're going to find out how much money these things cost and build a Gantt chart, basically build a personal budget. And then I'm going to show them KPIs within their business, within their control, that they could do to get to their dreams faster. So my dreams got to be big enough for all their dreams to fit inside. So 100%. I don't mind if a guy makes $500,000 a year. So we show them, instead of putting them on a performance improvement plan, I'm going to say, Tommy, listen, dude, here's the deal. These are your dreams. This is what's in it for you. Let's go all day and push, because I know you want this. I know you want more for your life. I know you want to see your kids go to private school and grow up in a great neighborhood. You are going to go harder, not because I'm threatening to punish you and putting you on an improvement plan, because this is what you wanted. My job is to push you to get there. So I think I got to be around driven people. If I could say these things and it doesn't resonate, if you got an attitude problem, we're not going to last. I mean, if you're just like, dude, I'm doing the best I can, I don't really care. It's like those people just kind of fizzle out, and they usually quit because they can't handle the pressure.
For sure. And that's what we see in our organization too. Like just by us having such a high standard, we really don't like I've fired quite a few people, but the majority of the people, they end up quitting or firing themselves just because they can't handle the heat essentially within our organization. And so, how do you continue to motivate those people though? Because like one thing that we see is sometimes people align, they're crushing it for a long time with us, and then they end up either fizzling out. They can't consistently stay at that high level. So how do you counter that?
When I grew up, I played a lot of sports. I was involved in a lot of extracurricular activities. And the main thing was we had to practice. We had team events. Like the coach cared. They drive me home because my parents worked their butts off. So I think we have a morning mojo call every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. We have a team meeting for an hour and a half every Thursday. We have one-on-ones twice a month. We are constantly reminding them, showing them where they're at. There's a scoreboard. There's literally every single employee can hit a button on their phone and they can see where they're at in the company. There's every single KPI, down to the recall rate, down to the gross close rate, down to customer satisfaction. So we got scorecards. We keep track. That's scary for people because they don't like to play sports. They don't care about winning. My core value right here, I'm wearing it on my wrist, aspire to be number one. I want to win. There's certain people in this world. There's two types of people. Those who need to win and be number one, and those who hate to be last. The guys that hate to be last look at the chart and they go, at least I wasn't last. And there's other guys that cry. They walk out of the meeting and they go, sorry, I was number 3. And those are the guys I want. Because literally, I've got this software that listens to every call, tells you how fast the customer is talking, how many questions. Top performers ask 25 open-ended questions. Bottom performers ask 5. Top performers tell the company story after they give the price in finance terms, an hour and a half after. Losers do it in 45 minutes. And nobody on my team's a loser, just loser salespeople. I would tell you success. We've got more technology. We're a technology company that does garage doors. We happen to do garage doors. And man, I feel like people are like, there's no way you could get to $1 billion in revenue. I'm like, what do you mean? It's a mathematical certainty. I need 900 techs. Like it's impossible for me not to. Unless I die, I'm going to get well over $1 billion. Like, hold my beer. Just because you suck and it's an imagination in your head. Literally, if the average tech, if I get techs to $1 million, I need 1,000 techs to do $1 billion, right? That's simple math. Well, how do you get that out?
Yep.
This is the United States of America. I'm only in 22 states. I'm in 38 markets. I'm not even close. And we're already way over 200 million. So I just love the TikTok haters out there.
With that math, like how, and you actually said something that I love. It's like, I'm a technology company that does garage doors. So how did you develop that mindset and that strategy? Because I think a lot of people think like, oh, I'm a house flipper, or I do laundromat stuff, but like, so how'd you develop that mindset?
We live in a day where technology, AI, the stuff coming out. I mean, I'm the first. Like, listen, a new phone comes out, I buy it the first day. I'm willing to test things, and I try it. And the harder it is for it to work, the more I'm intrigued, because everybody else is going to give up. It's going to give me an upper hand. I have full-time developers working for me. I have full-time integration specialists. I mean, we have 800 people, and everybody's running towards the same goals, and everybody's got at stake. My top technicians get equity in the company. Like, it's called an EIP. There's equity incentive program, right? So if we're running in the same direction and we're utilizing technology, because there's still people using paper invoices. There's still people that don't have a clean balance sheet. There's still people that literally don't have any finance tools. And I'm going, they don't stand a chance. Like I literally sometimes think, and I love my competitors, like literally they come in, I invite them into my home and my shop. But unless you wake up and smell the coffee, I'm going to burn you. And Ray Kroc said, when your enemies are drowning, shove a hose in their mouth. And I don't believe that. I want to help these guys lift up. Just because I'm winning doesn't mean they have to lose. We get to help develop the industry. But technology is the basis of everything. It's how I walk into work on Mondays and I look at KPIs. I'm looking at dashboards of dashboards of dashboards. The data is accurate and I know where I should be spending my time. And because we're in a lot of markets, a lot of different technicians, CSRs, dispatchers, maintenance techs, I've got to know what to focus on today. And a lot of people say, man, I got 20 things to do. And they don't do the hard stuff. And here's a little quote I learned to love. The magic you're looking for is all in the work that you're avoiding. You don't have a great body because your ass is not working out. You don't have a great mindset. It's because you're not reading, you're not attending things that are going to help you. You don't have a core people around you to push you forward, to hold you accountable. And I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but this stuff is important.
Going. Yeah.
Well, I look at this and I see people, they look in the mirror all the time and they say, it's time that I quit smoking. It's time that I lower my drinking. It's time that I become a better father, better mother. And then they lie to themselves. And then I look at people and they say, I started a business to help my family. You look at their calendar and their credit card bill. Where are they spending their time and their money? Nowhere near their family. They forgot why they started. And then they say, I'm going to sell my business in 10 years. So you're going to be absentee husband and owner and father for the next 10 years because you forgot why you started. You started to give them a better life. And you lie to yourself, no one else is going to take you seriously. Like, it's incredible to me that people lie to themselves all the time and then they expect people to take them serious.
People spend so much time on their phones when they should be focused on their business. And, I always say like, dude, if you're not successful, look at your calendar. Like, what are you spending your time doing every single day? And you mentioned, these business owners, they have 20 different things that they think they need to be working on and they think they need to be doing. But the KPIs and tracking your numbers, that's what's going to dictate what you should be spending your time on. Right. So I think, knowing your numbers is so important. So I love that you brought that up. And so how do you identify businesses that are like good acquisitions for you? Because I know you mentioned a couple of different things, but as in terms of knobs that you can turn for the business. But how do you identify like an actual company that's like, this one's worth bringing on board?
My job is to always be recruiting, and I've got a lot of access to data. I know everybody that owns a garage door business over 60 years old. I know everybody. I've got a team in the Philippines that finds websites. I've got a team in Chicago that makes phone calls. I'm doing mailers. It's constant searching. I'm talking to my vendors, finding out who do they know that's behind in payments? Who do they know that's getting ready to retire? Everything's a target. And here's the deal about acquisitions. You've got to be very, very disciplined, because as an entrepreneur, we all have ADHD. We get excited about something and figure out a way for it to work, but it's not really in our buy box. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you this, discipline is the key. And it's just, some months you don't have any acquisition targets. Some months you got 10. And it's the goal is to build that funnel and always have an opportunity, because I might get to the quality of earnings right to the deadline and shit falls through. And it's like, it's tough. We've already invested hundreds of thousands of dollars with lawyers and data analysis, but it's not for it's not for everybody. And people are like, I'm going to be like Tommy. I'm just going to go buy a bunch of businesses. Dude, it's tough. It is hard, man. You're taking a whole different mindset of companies, a whole different culture, and you're having to integrate everything into this different culture. You got to get the chart of accounts, the technology, the retraining. You got to reactivate the list of clients they've had over the last few years. There's an acquisition checklist of about 100 pages that we go through, and I'm still learning. Trust me, I'm not a master at this. I'm a student for life. There are so many things I'm learning every day. I'm reading books every day. Even though the money's been great, I'm still Tommy from the block. I used to have a little, now I have a lot.
I love it. Yeah, man. So like, how, as you're developing this checklist, like if somebody's trying to go buy a business, like what are the 5 core things that they really need to focus on and evaluate when they're looking at businesses?
So what I look at is obviously EBITDA is where the multiple is going to come from. And you got to have a quality of earnings. You got to have somebody that ties everything back to the bank account, make sure it's real. Next thing is, are you doing an asset purchase? Are you doing a asset or a stock purchase? And typically you want to do an asset purchase. You want a line in the sand saying you're not liable for anything in the past. You're going to check if they're staying and they're rolling equity. You got to do background checks. You want to make sure you're working with somebody ethical with high moral grounds. Another thing I look at is how much are they spending in marketing? I love companies that are spending 1% in marketing because they don't know. They're like, Google, what's Google? And I'm like, okay, great. This is good. And they're like, yeah, I've heard of the Facebook before. And so I look at opportunities where they're like, wait a minute, you've never heard of LSA, PPC, organic sponsored ads? And they're like, no, I just got a ton of stickers and we've been in the community for a long time. We do an email blast once every 6 months. And I'm like, cool, because they haven't turned on the engine I'm going to turn on. And then I look at the quality of their KPIs coming from the technicians, their booking rate, right? Most companies in the home service industry are at 45% booking rate. I'm at an 87%. So I go through the KPI chart. I look at where the opportunities are and I just overlap our performance because we're in a lot of markets. And so I say, if I buy this at 5 or 6X, the day I fix it, 90 days later, I actually paid an actual 2X, right? And then there's the arbitrage of what I'm worth. Maybe I'm worth 10X, maybe 15. I'm not going to talk about that because it really depends on the industry and whatnot, but there's arbitrage there. So, and then I say this, are you doing commercial? We don't do a lot of commercial. I turn that off almost immediately. So if I turn off 30% of their commercial work, either I got to sell that to another company or consider that a loss. And then I got to be able to rebound that. And then I look at the age of their vehicles. If I've got to replace every vehicle, they got 12 techs. Then I know that's going to cost me 12 times 60,000, right? So 720,000. And then I look at the last thing is how many jobs are they running a day? Some technicians run 8 calls a day. There's no chance with windshield time you get a chance to leave a lasting impression. So I like to leave somebody like just blown away, like clean up their garage, help them get the Christmas tree down, like smile, tell them a story, like learn about their life. And you can't do that in 8 different experiences a day, like 2 to 3, maybe 4 a day. And so those are the things I look at.
Love it. You mentioned you have like an 85% booking rate. How do you achieve
87.
that? 87 versus, these people who have like 45%. How do you achieve that?
Well, the first thing is answer your phones. Most people don't.
That's huge really quick, by the way. I talk to a lot of business owners who just don't pick up the phone when somebody calls. And so which blows my mind, honestly. So I didn't mean to cut you off, but continue.
No, it's literally, it's how quick it's all speed of lead. I mean, Angie's List, Thumbtack, Yelp, they're all looking at somebody that's going to respond to their form fill or their call right away. And then it's constant training. We look at empathy. We grade our CSRs. Every single person in the company, for the most part, is on paper performance. They don't make any money if they don't book the phone call. So they're eager. They're like, listen, what is it going to take me to earn your business? Like we're in your neighborhood today. Like, why don't we just stop by? We'll tell you what's going on with the garage. If you like what the technician has to say, he'll do the work right there. If not, send him on his way. Like, we offer a price beat guarantee. We want you to tell your friends, your neighbors, and your family, like, all about us. We want you to become a raving fan. And when you're like if you call me up and you're like, a garage door broke today and I missed work, I would say, oh my gosh, really? I am so sorry to hear that. And just practice, have a mirror. All my CSRs have mirrors, and just practice empathy. Be a good human being. I don't even have to train sales. I just train being a good human. Like, show that you care. Smile more. Tell a good story. Show a picture. Play with the dog. Instead of ringing the doorbell, knock on the door, because strangers ring the doorbell, friends knock. These little things that I've learned is just being a good human.
I love that. And you mentioned that your team is paid for performance for a lot of, I think a lot of business owners, they get scared about not offering a base and trying to be competitive. So how do you remain competitive in a job market where like most job roles as a CSR or like a customer service rep, they're all centered around base salaries, et cetera? Like, how do you handle that negotiation with somebody coming into your company?
So our base on a CSR is $15 an hour, but I've got a lot of people making over 30.
Wow.
It's more than minimum wage, but you make a lot more when you book the phone call. And what I have is a VoIP system, voice over internet protocol. Everybody's got one now.
Yeah. Yep.
And you got a call center software. And what you do is you've got a round robin of calls, but you could do weighted. So if someone's doing and they're killing it, they're at 98%, they're going to get more calls than a low performer. And constant coaching. I've got managers listening to every phone call, making sure we're showing empathy. Do data integrity, making sure we're repeating the street address, making sure there's a reminder. I've got a level 2 CSR. The only CSR is allowed to give pricing. Level 1, 80% of we just don't give prices. They don't even know how to give prices. We never taught them prices. So the dumber you are on the phone, the better. You just got to sound like a great human. My mom used to answer the phones in 2010. She'd go, thank you for calling A1 Garage Door Service. My name's Gina. How may I help you today? And they'd go, man, you sound great. She'd go, oh, honey, I'm so sorry to hear that. I'll tell you what, we're going to get our best technician out there. And I'd be like, Mom, book the damn phone call. But then I used to run calls, and she'd be on the phone 8-10 minutes, and I'd show up, and they'd be like, who is that lady? They'd be like, oh, my gosh, she's phenomenal. And I'd be like, I never wanted to really say it's my mom. I'm like, yeah, she's the best, because I didn't want it to feel like a small mom and pop. So I'd be like, yeah, she's a great lady. And then I'd hear my mom. I mean, my mom talked to the operator in 2010 for an hour. I'm like, she could talk to anybody. And she just actually like enjoyed talking to people on the phone. She'd be like, oh, yeah, listen, we're going to be able to get that all fixed up for you. And I'm like, I tell people just book the phone call. But when I realized they were all putty in my hands. They were like, we want to use your company. The way we've never heard the phone answered that way. Like, we felt like this is a business we want to do business with. So just that initial experience of that first phone call sets the whole call up for success.
I love that. And I think a lot of, especially I would guess the service-based businesses, they're very transactional. They're working on, just booking the call, and they don't have that empathy. And I mean, we have a call center here with, 40 sales reps. And that's the biggest thing that like we need to communicate to our people too. It's, hey, like care about the people that you're working with. One of our core values is serve others for that reason. It's, take care of your clients, and I guarantee you're going to close the deal, right? Because they're talking to you. It's all about how can you stand out from your competitors, right? So what are other, strategies or ways that you guys stand out versus say someone else? Because I'm sure in the garage door business, these guys, like you said, Angie's List, Yelp, they're sending the same lead to multiple people. So how do you guys stand out when you guys are taking those calls?
Well, here's what I usually tell people is my mom and dad got a divorce when I was 7. And I usually explain to the client when I'm there, I say, here's what you need to do today to get the door operational. Here's what you should do. And my mom worked 3 jobs to raise me, kept me in school, looked out for me. I love my mom more than anything. Here's a picture of my mom. This is what I would be doing for mom. And it's not always the most expensive. It's the best thing because I've learned everything about you. I know you have 3 kids. I know that you have a dog. I know you go on vacations twice a year. I'm going to do the best thing after I know what you're doing. Are you noticing that the garage door is getting really hot because it's facing west? Are you noticing that you're getting ants and spiders and scorpions if you're in Vegas? I'm going to ask a lot of questions. I noticed you had a fridge in here that you probably want not running in overtime all the time. So I'm going to give you what I would do for my mom. And I genuinely mean that. I treat people like mom. And another thing is we've got all trademark parts. So the highest cycle part, figure it like you buy tires that'll go 10,000 miles. You could buy 20,000 miles. Same thing for shingles. You could get 20-year, 30-year, 40-year. The best cycle part I could find in the garage door industry was 20,000 cycles. So I worked with the distribution center and I said, let's go to 80 because I don't do things twice as good. I do them 4 times as good. So I trademarked everything and I say, I give options because I believe if you're not giving options, you're giving ultimatums. When you're giving a yes or no question, you're screwed. I say, listen, Tommy, can I ask you a question? I would say, why don't I do this? Sounds like you need a new garage door. Go ahead. We'll just play a little role play.
Yeah, sounds like you need a new garage door.
So I'm saying this to you. Sounds like
man, I got a new garage door. This one's been a little old, so that might be time.
So here's what I like to do. I'm going to go over 5 options, and we'll go 1 star through 5 star, and you can pick one you like. How does that sound?
Yeah, man. I think that works.
I want you to say yes. I want you to say, I'm going to make a decision because that's my job. If I'm any good at sales, my job is to get you to buy from me. The question is, what is it going to be? And I do believe options I've got the economical option and I've got top of the line. Did you want to kick the can and go builder grade? Or do you want to put something that's going to last for a long time? Because I'd love to get to know you more. In fact, I could be out here every year if you'd like. Or we can get it done permanently. And we practice this. Did you want a Band-Aid fixed today or do you want it fixed permanently? We say things like, do you want your door to be safe? And watch my head. You want your door to be safe, don't you? Let's go ahead and get this fixed right today. Try to say no when you're shaking your head yes. You got to kind of like wiggle out of it.
You got to fight it. Yeah. I love it. And, dude, this is a masterclass in sales. So, and your techs are also salespeople. Is that the way it breaks down? Or do you have, how does that break down in terms of like your team?
My techs are they do the sales in the home. My installers don't do much sales. And I don't look for sales all-stars. I just look for good humans. Like when you shake my hand, you look me in the eye. Like, are you proud when you walk into a room? When I ask you a story, do you say 3 words or do you tell me, can you tell a good joke? Like these are the questions I ask. Tell me a joke. And if it's like a knock-knock joke, I'm like, okay, do a little bit better. But if they're just like, what I look for is people that believe in themselves. Like when I walk into a room, I think I'm the baddest ass dude that ever lived. But I'm not cocky about it. Like I still have humility. But I don't think I see people when they walk. 55% of sales is body language. 37% is tonality. And then the rest of the words we use. Never say sign the contract. You say, can you okay the paperwork? Never say, did you need financing? You say, have you heard about our promotions? Did you want to use your money today or did you want to use ours?
I'm stealing that one. That's good.
These things are not difficult. I just think never say, did you want to pay with a credit card? What kind of form of payment did you want to use today? There's certain words to avoid, but body language is everything. Like when I'm there with a client, I have an open stance. Whenever I'm with a client that's shorter than me, I'm on one knee presenting. I'm letting them be above me. My job is to get in their kitchen or their living room. And I say, is there a spot we can sit down after I look at the door and discuss some options? Now the other guy's got his butt crack hanging out. He's sitting on the back of his truck. He's got a cigarette in one mouth writing up a quote. I want to be professional, and I'm not the most expensive. I guarantee you I'm the best value.
So good. And you mentioned because we flip houses and, we end up in people's house, like negotiating face to face all the time as well. And it's the same thing, right? Like, hey, do you have somewhere to sit down, like where we can break everything down? We never have our sales guys, offer quotes at the door or all that type of stuff.
No, hell no. You don't offer a for sale by owner when it's a cash lead. First thing you do is you show up because they're going to go, what do they say? First thing they say is, I looked at Zillow. I think it's worth this. Your job is one of two things, no matter what they say when you're at their table, if you're in your position. Ready? When they say what they want to do, your job is one of two things. Buy the house or list the house. And you got to do both. I learned this from a guy because I used to flip a lot of houses. In fact, I got hundreds and hundreds of leads every week for cash buyers.
Wow.
When you go through it, number one is find out what they love to do. I was sitting next to an old couple one time, right? Actually, I'm not going to take credit for this. It's a buddy of mine, but it's a great story. He found out this old couple, what they love to do, and this guy worked with us, is their number one thing is they go to the movies every other day. And they didn't have a lot of money. They were on Social Security. And he found out, and they love popcorn. They go to a matinee and they love popcorn. And it was important to them that they stayed in the house for the next 6 months. So you're a problem solver. You're going to say, listen, we not only want to buy your home, but we want to make things work. We want to make sure you end up, what are you going to do after you move out of here? Because we've got a lot of connections. Where did you want to move? Be genuinely interested in that person. So what if we got you the price and it was a smoking deal? We let you stay in the home for 6 months. What if we bought you all the matinee tickets and the popcorn? We'd like to take care of that for you. You guys like AMC or do you like Harkins? So you're a problem solver. And then here's the other side of it. When somebody's arguing with you and trying to get a better price, your job is to make them have a buying decision. So if they tell you, listen, I want to sell the house for $280,000 and the house only worth $260,000. Your job is to get to make a commitment. Here's the right answer. Ready? You smile and you say, then let's just do that then. Then let's just do that. No matter what they say, let's just do that. You get it under contract and you say you need a new roof. Right now, every appliance is torn. Like now that I've got through the inspection and I actually see you got a mold problem. The door is on its last leg. The hot water heater is 24 years old. I've got to come down on these, but you get them to make the decision that they're using you. You're trying to get them to say yes. And so negotiating there before you even looked at anything, I think is more disingenuous than working out a deal and saying, I'm going to look at everything. So let's go ahead. Let's just do that then. So many salespeople, they're arguing and they're trying to motivate them and really get in their head and influence them. And it's like, no, I want to make sure this works for you.
100%.
And the longer you spend at that table, I guarantee you the guys that are spending 3 hours versus an hour getting better deals, the higher conversion rate, it's not that difficult.
Absolutely. And I think the big thing that you mentioned too is, getting them to use you first, right? We're reaching an agreement that we're going to do business together and we're going to figure out how to get this deal done together. The biggest mistake that a lot of these salespeople make that I see is, it's me versus you. We're trying to figure, I'm trying to get you to agree to something outrageous when in reality, it's just, how do we, I know you want a deal. You let me into your house for a reason, right? In your case, you're looking for a garage door for a reason, right? So it's how do we come together to figure out the best solution for you to move forward? And
Why do people buy?
Because they have a need.
The biggest reason people call you out is to avoid pain. They have a need and they're trying to avoid pain. So
Absolutely.
in Sandler training, there's what's called a pain funnel. What happens if you don't get out of this house at the right time? You said you have to move from Phoenix to Chicago. You take them down the pain. And this is what life is about. It's pain. You know why the church, the reverend, the preacher could collect 10% a week? Is because if not, you're going to hell. That sounds pretty painful. You want to see the best salesman in the world? Go to a church with 10,000 congregation. That guy is collecting more money than any salesman I've ever met. I study at church. I'm like, holy cow, this is good. I'm pulling out my wallet, paying, throwing money in the bucket. It's like you could learn a lot of just open your eyes. It's all around us. Sales is human. Daniel Pink wrote a book about it. The minute you met your wife, the first impression you left on her, you were in sales. Don't believe people say sales is this bad thing. It is normal. When you make a new friendship, you're selling. My favorite book is by Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. He says, listen way more. Listen. Linda, listen. That's all we got to do.
Absolutely. And
you kind of look like Mario Lopez. You kind of look like Mario Lopez.
I'll take it. You know, that's not a bad person to look like, you know? and so, you know, I think you mentioned you have softwares too that track talk ratio. We do too. You know, where we're seeing like our best salespeople, they're talking 25% of the time, right? And they're letting the prospect share, and they're asking good questions and genuine questions because they're, you know, one of our other big things on our sales side is just be curious, man. Be curious about the prospect and have a vested interest in what their problem is and their pain, and dig into it. So I think that's super important. One
more role play. I want you to pretend we're at Best Buy. Okay. All right. We're at Best Buy and you're shopping for a laptop, and let's just pretend, I don't know the latest version of Windows. Let's just pretend it's Windows XP.
Sure.
So I'm the sales rep and you see a computer you like, ask me, does this have Windows XP? So did you find anything you liked?
Yeah, Tommy, I like this laptop here. Does it happen to have Windows XP?
You know, that's a great question. We have every single type of operating system out there, depending on, may I ask what you are looking for in an operating system?
You know, I need something that's going to be able to run Excel. I really like Windows. So I heard Windows XP is just like the top of the line right now.
Yeah, you know, we really like it. And we have Norton's and we have the Geek Squad over there. The point I'm trying to make here of this whole thing is most people go, yeah. Well, it's got Windows XP. And the shopper goes, you got to be kidding me. Windows XP is the worst product I've ever used. It's given me so many freaking problems. This is a joke.
Yeah.
I can't believe you guys sell that product. So it's important to understand with questions and ask open-ended questions. Can I ask you a question? Do you guys offer full cash, or do you anything where, you know, yeah, we could do that, but may I ask you, what would be the best scenario for you? Because everybody thinks if somebody asks a question, yep, yes, that's exactly. And they go, oh, in that case, I'm not even interested. Like, we should ask a question to a question. You could control a whole conversation with a question. If you ask, we practice here at A1, when you ask me a question, to ask a question back.
Yep.
Because I can lead you wherever I want to go. And this isn't manipulation. That could be if you use it for evil.
Yeah, absolutely. The difference between like influence and manipulation is just your motivation behind it, right? Like, so by you just being who you are, you're influencing people, and as long as you got positive intent, then you know we're all good, right? And yeah, I think that our best salespeople here, they ask good questions that lead somebody closer to making a decision, right? I always tell them, like, obviously we want people to go with us because we think we're the best, but at the end of the day, we're not the best fit for everybody. Right. So my goal by the end of this call is to help you make a decision one way or the other. Right. And hopefully it's with us because I know we can help you, XYZ, whatever. Right. But that's like our talk track. That's like what I try to hammer home into all these sales guys is just the end. Maybe is death, no matter what. I'd rather get a no than a maybe 100% of the time. And so we always try to focus on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. And if you say, you know, I need to think about it, of course you need to think about it. I haven't given you enough information yet not to think about it. And these things are so simple. And yeah, maybes are usually, before I get a maybe, the one thing that I'm going to do, and this is the best advice I could ever give anybody in sales, is either you close the deal or you set the next appointment, one or the two. If they say maybe and they don't want to book the next appointment, that's a waste of time and they don't like you. And one of the things I'll say is usually it's either the price or the timing or it's me. And if it's me, I'd like to get another person out here because I know sometimes I can be overwhelming and sometimes I smell funny. And you got to be funny and like generally interested and say, my boss is going to kill me if I don't ask. Did I give you 5 out of 5 service today? Because I'd love for you to let me know how I did online because I want to show you my kids. These are my kids. And the reason I work for this company is to provide for them. Make sure they get a good Christmas, a really good Thanksgiving. And when you leave me a review and you put my picture in it, people actually call for me by name. And it'd mean the world to me. If you take 5 minutes, I'm going to clean up here in the garage. If you went ahead and did that, could you do that for me? Most people don't ask for the sale. Most people don't ask for the review in the right way. They don't put a timetable on it either.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the thing too. I mean, like most sales typically require you to ask at between like 3 to 5 times at least for the business. And so people, they hear one no and they get stuck on that. But yeah, so I think you gotta commit, man. You gotta commit to the sale, gotta commit to asking for the sale. So that's where most salespeople drop off. They're somebody's best friend. They've built all the rapport in the world. And then nothing. So you got to ask for the sale.
My buddy, Uncle Joe Crisari, he says he gives the options and he looks you dead in the eyes and he goes, what should we do?
And just stay silent.
Stay silent. The idea going through the prospect's head is they're thinking about a million things. They're not thinking about maybe they're thinking about is this guy disingenuous or real? But typically they're going, do I have the money? Am I going to miss my credit card payment? Do I call my husband or wife? Should I call dad and see if he'll give me the money? Whatever it is, they're going through a lot. They're trying to compute it. So sitting there and then another thing to never ever do is never say the word hundreds or thousands. If it's 3,786, just say 38. Looking at about 38. And the way, never sell out of your own pocket. If you think it's $3,786. If you're like, hey, it's 38. Did I get 3,800? Yeah, 38. I mean, literally, people are like sticker shock when they see 10,000. And I'm like, this house, do you know the number one ROI more than your kitchens or bathrooms? Remodel Magazine 6 years in a row is your garage door. It's the smile of your home. It's the only thing that delivers over 100% ROI. This is an investment. This is not a cost. This is safety. This is an investment into your home. This will help sell the home. This will lower your electric bill. This will be safe. Amazon can deliver right into the garage, no longer on your doorstep because we know stuff gets stolen. Walmart can deliver. You could close the garage from anywhere in the world. You could see if someone got to your house. There's a camera unit on the opener. I think garages are sexy, man. This is why I do this stuff.
Yeah, at this point, you have to. Man. So, Tommy, obviously, we're a month into the year. What are your targets by the end of the year for the business?
I try to grow by 30% a year, 15% organically, 15% by acquisitions. I'd like to do more this year. I've got a couple of prospects, lots of EBITDA. My main thing this year is double down on the people. Like a lot of people this year, it's a tough year. And what I love about tough years is this is where real businesses are made. A lot of people are going to start clearing out, getting out of my way. A lot of people are going to fold up shop. A lot of people can't handle it. And if you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen. And they're not doing anything about it because the first thing people cut is their marketing instead of right-sizing the business. And they've got an obligation to the people that are kicking butt to cut the bottom performers and right-size and continue to pour on the marketing when everybody's pulling back marketing. Secondly, I do care. I mean, a lot about the people. So I'm going to show up, double down on the people this year. And what I love is I don't hope this, but there's a good opportunity if it is. If it turns into a buyer's market, I'm just going to go out and buy more companies. I'm going to win no matter what. I mean, people are like, aren't you worried? I'm like, no, because I'm in control. Like I make the decisions. No matter where you throw me, I make lemons out of lemonade or lemons into lemonade. People are so worried. They're like, the storm is coming. I'm like, bring the storm on. I got an umbrella.
Yep.
So it's just this mindset gap. I think a lot of people are like, what are we going to do? Interest rates are up. The market is not really stabilizing. I'm like, I don't care if gas prices go up. There's a few things I'll tell you that people that they're pressed. They focus on what they don't have versus what they have. I wake up every morning. My mom and dad are doing great. My sister's healthy. My niece and nephews are great. I got an amazing girlfriend, 2 great puppies. I focus on what I have. Number 2, I don't look in the past. I can't change the past. I focus on the present and the future. I don't live in the past. I don't say, look what you did last week. You screwed up. This is a new day. This is a new start. We're going to focus on the future. And the third thing is that a lot of people, they focus only on the negative. They are around negative people. Like they literally are, the circle around them does not push them forward. And I believe if you're not with the right group of people that are literally holding you accountable and pushing you up, your circle is not a circle, it's a cage. And this is the biggest thing. These people are stuck in a cage. Those clawfish, I forget what they're called, but one's getting out of the bucket and they pull them right
crabs in
back.
the bucket. Yep.
Yeah. There's so many leeches out there and people. And I know you can't change your family. You can't change your kids, but you could change the people you hang around with. And you could read a book and all of a sudden you're around that person. And you got a lot of options. We live in the best country there is. And a lot of people, they trade places. There's billions of people that would trade places with any one of us. And you got to think if you believe in Jesus, you believe in God, he put me here for a reason. And I'm not trying to cast my religion on anybody. If you don't, that's okay. But for me, he gave it to me and he could take it away just as quick. So I make sure on, podcast, I say, I owe it to him because I know for a fact you go, tomorrow's not promised. And I'll tell you what, if I gave you $1 billion and said you're going to die tomorrow, I doubt you'd take the money.
Definitely wouldn't. And so many people, they stay stuck in, just like you mentioned, these negative groups of people. They don't realize how easy it is to change your environment, how easy it is to change your mindset. Obviously, people have there's a lot of stuff that people carry around every single day, but it's all about just making the decision to be focused on the present moment, be focused on your future. And so many, like you mentioned, so many people get stuck in this thought loop of, oh man, last week I lost a deal last week, or, my girlfriend broke up with me, whatever it is, man. I think there's definitely a lot of, it's easy to get negative. And so focusing on that positivity, like you mentioned, is super important.
They focus on Ukraine and what's going on in Israel. They focus on the traffic. You can't control that. What can you control? You can control working out in the morning. You can control eating healthy. You can control these. I'll tell you this. If you brush your teeth for 24 hours in a row, your teeth aren't going to get healthier. But if you brush your teeth for 2 minutes a day, twice a day for the next year, you'll have healthy teeth, healthy gums. And, that's a Simon Sinek talk. But I just think people are victims out there. Here's the deal. I make my own luck and I'm not trying to be cocky. I look at people and they got every excuse in the world of why they're going to fail. You give me one reason why I'm going to win out of 20 reasons I'm not. I'm focusing on that one thing. I think there's a book by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Ben Hardy. He's a good buddy of mine. 10X is better than 2X. I focus on my superpowers. I'm not well-rounded, by the way. I'm horrible at a lot of things.
Most entrepreneurs aren't well-rounded, by the way. So you're in good company. But and then, you mentioned, just how would you, if somebody's going through a tough time or they don't have that mindset, how would you recommend somebody create that positive and that focused mindset?
During COVID, I sat there and I had people lined up in my office, and this is before PPP money. This is when we thought COVID was just going to kill everybody. And one guy walked in my office and said, I'd like you to cut my pay in half. He said, I just want to see this company do well. My wife's got a great job. We've got a great savings. And then the next person walked in and said, I want to give up all my PTO. I thought they were going to come in and quit or just be horrified of what the situation was. And I realized I needed to become better myself. So I started reading more. I started really being around the right people. I think number one is self-reflection. And Number two is making a calendar and making commitments, like controlling your time. Time is the biggest thing. I can't buy time. When it's gone, it's gone. I think a lot of people, first, they live in social media. They watch their Netflix and Amazon Prime. They don't walk in nature. They don't work out. They're not eating healthy. They're not on peptides, which I recommend.
Dude, I actually just booked a call, so I'm about to hop on. So, dude,
I'm on these peptides, and look, I'm not in the best shape. Like, I got to eat better, but I will say this. Started these peptides, and by the way, it's not TRT, it's peptides. I'm literally, the trainer put on 225, and I'm like, dude, it's been a while since I did it. I did it 24 times.
Wow.
And then he put on 275, pumped that out for 12 like it was nothing. I mean, literally, dude, I'm getting strong, and it's not like this illegal, like it's prescribed, right? It's not like this stuff that like makes you get an extra tooth or a sixth finger. It's good stuff, but you got to eat right. You got to be working out when you're doing it. But there's some stuff out there, man. I mean, I'm sure you know Gary Brecka. I'm not working with him. I'm working with another really great doctor. But I love this stuff, man. Health. It used to be for me money, time, health. Yeah. Now it's health, time, money. And it's easy for me to say. I know that's what people are saying, but you don't have time and you don't have health. Money's just a tool. And I always tell people, money's not the root of all evil. If you're in business, you have an obligation to make money. The love of money is the root of all evil.
1,000%. And what I always tell people too is like money just amplifies who you already are. If you're a good person, man, you're going to be a great person with money. If you're a not so good person, you're going to be a pretty bad person with money. So it just amplifies who you are. And yeah, man, I'm excited. I got the blood work done, so I'm just kind of waiting to hear back what they're going to tell me to do as far as peptides go. So it's cool, man. But Tommy, what is one thing, if you left the earth tomorrow, what would you want people to know? It can be business or personal.
If I look back on my life and I was leaving earth, I just want people to say, and this is a different question, but I want them to say that he cared more and I was better off for knowing him. You know, that's at my funeral, which better be outside. Don't wear black. Know that I'm in a better place. You spread my ashes, bury me, do whatever you want. But I just want people to know that he really cared. He really did. He had a big heart, and he wanted everybody to live their best life ever. I don't want to give people money. I want to help incubate their dreams. Nonprofits are different. And if I was going to tell you the best secret I learned is the reason I learned so much about the garage door industry is because I studied HVAC. I said, who has the most private jets out of every industry out there? And the answer was conclusive. It was HVAC guys.
And that's crazy.
So I started flying across the country to every major HVAC shop doing over 100 million. And I'd read their books and I'd call them up and I'd say, I'm your biggest fan. And I'd literally fly out there with a notebook that was empty, except for some questions I had. And I just shut up and listen. And they'd say, Tommy, you're just a garage door guy. Go sit down with my CFO. Go sit down with my CMO. Go sit down with our COO. Sit down in a training class. And they opened up their hearts and their home to me. And, success leaves clues is what I would tell you, is if you guys have an amazing company, I'm sure there's somebody out there that would love to learn from you. And I'm sure you're the type of person that would give back and say, come hang out with us for a day. You want some pointers? We love young entrepreneurs getting started. It's our obligation to pay it forward. And so my favorite 3 letters in the world are ASK. You just got to ask. Anybody that wants to come here do a shop tour, I'd love to have you. I don't charge for it. I'll give you some books. I'll answer any questions. I pay it forward as much as possible. You just got to ask. If you want to become a better father, look for 2 great kids and then ask the parents, how did you raise such great kids? Success leaves clues everywhere. You want to get to the top of Angie's list? Find the top guy on Angie's list and call him up and say, hey, man, I'd love to buy you a steak dinner. I'll take you to a Dave Matthews concert, whatever you'd like. I want to find out. I'm in a different market. How could we get to the top of Angie? It seems like you're the master. Just got to ask.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised. And I love that because you'd be surprised how many people are willing to share information, just like you mentioned, man. Like people who are successful, I would say 90% of the time, they want other people to be successful. They want other people to win, especially when, you're not in direct competition. And even if you are, I want all of our competitors to win. And so I think that's huge. So Tommy, where can people find out more about you, man?
Well, I have a book called Elevate, Build a Business Where Everybody Wins. It's my latest. It's on Audible. Got a podcast called The Home Service Expert. It's mostly business mindset focused. It's number 14 in the country on business. Pretty proud of that. I had Damon John. Damon John was sitting here last week. I had Dan Martell, Joe Polish, just cool people on the podcast. And official Tommy Mello. If you go to TommyMello.com, it's got all my social media handles. And if you want to do a shop tour, you can book it there. There's a shop tour button. And listen, man, I'm an open book. You got a question? I'm just a dude from Michigan. Things have gone right. I tell people if I could do it, you could do it. Trust me, I'm not very special. I've got great parents that love me. We went through a lot of hard times, but hard times make tough people. Tough times, weak times make weak people. So it's a pleasure to be on your show, and I really appreciate it.
Cool, man. I'll leave it at that.